This is one of my absolute favorite cars in the museum. It's a 1915 FRP. Well, what would FRP stand for? Well, it's the initials of Findlay Robertson Porter. Findlay Robertson Porter was the chief engineer at the Mercer Company, famous for designing their incredible L-head engine. But he got into a fight with Mercer, who wanted to change something in his design, resigned from the company, stormed out of the factory, went to Port Jefferson, New York, with the idea that he was going to build a factory and build a better Mercer. He didn't have to build a factory because he found one there. Well, there was a Frenchman who was building these little race cars called the Ennui. The Frenchman's little race cars were wonderful, but unfortunately he had no idea how to market cars. And so he was losing the shirt, and he was happy to sell the factory building to Porter. And Porter now has got this beautiful factory, wonderful precision machine tools in it, and he starts to plan to build his better Mercer. Well, the way that he wants to get started is to build 3 race cars initially, because he figured if he could get the race cars into the Indianapolis 500, he'd get his name out there, help promote his new venture. So he started by building 3 race cars, but he wasn't prepared yet to build and install his own engines. So he was buying engines from the Knight Company. And here, he gets these 3 little race cars ready. He's in a hurry to get them prepared for Indy. They didn't qualify. America's most famous engineer at the time, and his cars didn't qualify for the Indianapolis 500. It was embarrassing for him. So he goes back to his factory building in Port Jefferson. He buys more tools and equipment, and he finally tools up and starts to produce this fabulous automobile, the FRP. Now, depending on which history book you read, maybe 9 of these cars were built, maybe 12 of them were built before the advent of World War I. World War I comes along, and being a brilliant engineer, he was seconded by the U.S. government to design aircraft engines, and his factory was taken over for the war effort. So perhaps only 9 or maybe as many 12 FRPs were ever built. After the war, he and his son think in terms of building another car, simply called the Porter. But you know, after the First World War, there was a recession. Nobody wanted to spend the money to buy these cars. These were expensive automobiles. They cost around $7,000 just for the chassis and the engine. And then you would go to a company like Brewster, who did the coachwork on this beautiful car, to add a body to it. They were expensive, and nobody was really prepared to spend that kind of money. So very few Porters, after this First World War venture car was called, very few Porters were ever manufactured, and in fact, none are known to exist. As far as we know, this is the only FRP that is known to exist. That's good.